Well, where should I start? Let's be, as a German, very formal, on time. Ladies and gentlemen, this year Wüsthof celebrates its 200th anniversary. Our company was founded in 1814 in a little valley in Solingen, Germany. Back then, Napoleon was still fighting battles all over Europe. And here, in this country, Francis Scott Key wrote the lyrics of the Star-Spangled Banner after the victory in the Battle of Baltimore. The first time we exported our products to this country was in 1881. But due to 2 world wars and several other reasons, I don't want to get into details here, this business dissolved almost to nothing, and then we had to wait until the middle of the 20th century. In 1960, Wolfgang Wüsthof joined the company and started to travel immediately and very often to the United States. During the 45 years he worked for the company, he developed our cutlery market in this country from zero to the most important market for the Wüsthof brand. Wolfgang dedicated his entire work life to almost a quarter of our company's history. He promoted Wüsthof to a highly recognized knife brand all over the world, but particularly in this market. Knowing him for 46 years now and working together for almost 20, I know he feels very, very honored to be awarded tonight. But not as an individual, not as Wolfgang. He feels honored on behalf of the company and all the people standing for Wüsthof for the last 200 years. But now I think it's time for us to listen to him and listen to his stories and experiences, how he was building the Wüsthof brand in this country. Your stage.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I made my first trip to the United States in 1960. That's 54 years ago. I was 24 years of age. I came by propeller plane via Iceland. That was the cheapest fare. In New York, I stayed at the YMCA. I was dragging a heavy case full of samples: scissors, pocket knives, stainless steel flatware, bar tools, veterinarian utensils, and, believe it or not, kitchen knives. The beginning was tough. The name Wüsthof was unknown. I traveled all over the States, by train, by Greyhound bus, and sometimes by plane. The initial results were meager. I wrote very few orders. It took me some years to find out that knives were the easiest commodity to sell. The world of knives in the 60s was split up between 2 companies. Echo Flint for a less expensive range and Case Cutlery for the top end of the market. The impressive and shiny displays of these 2 lines were to be seen everywhere. The names of most of the stores that I visited no longer exist. Who remembers B. Altman in New York, or Gimbel's and A&S, and many others? Every American town had its own department store with an obvious local flair. Like Marshall Field, right here in Chicago. One of my first customers was Bloomingdale's. The housewares buyer, Lester Gribetz, a hard nut to crack. Another customer was Hammacher Schlemmer in New York. Their late president, Dominique Tampone, became a good friend of mine. At the Emporium in San Francisco, Tim Adams was the buyer. You all know him. At Bamberger's in Newark, Charles Chinney once walked with me to the railway station. He offered to carry my sample case. He later admitted that he should never have done so. I called on Chuck Williams. When he opened his first store on Post Street in San Francisco, he said to me, "Young man, I'm very sorry, but I only carry French knives." I visited Gordon Siegel when he had just opened his first store on North Wells Street right here in Chicago. He was unpacking crates in the basement. He said to me, "What do you have?" I said, "Knives." He said, "I'm not in the knife business." So I said, "Maybe one day you will be." He said, "Show me what you have." So I unpack my samples. He looks at them and says, "Pretty good. How much are they?" I said, "The knife you're holding in your left hand, a forged paring knife, is 78 cents. And the one that you are holding in your right hand, a forged utility knife, is 88 cents. He said, "Per dozen?" "No," I said, "per piece." And he said, "I'll never be able to sell them." I was on the doorsteps when Renée Benke opened her first Sur la Table store on Pike Street in Seattle. I do not remember having difficulties selling her. Things in Germany, in our little town of Solingen, were not easy neither. In the old days, all cutlery products were made by hand, but labor was getting more expensive. Besides, qualified workers were no longer available. I had to look at new ways at automated production. The growing export business had provided me with some funds. Finally, I was able to tear down the old factory and build a new one. With business further increasing, a second factory went up, both with state-of-the-art machinery. In 1987, our first subsidiary was established, Wüsthof Trident of America. In the year 2005, I retired at the age of 70. My nephew, Harold, whom you have just seen here on stage, took over the helm. He has recently been joined by my daughter, Viola. This year, we are celebrating 200 years of existence. As a pure family business, generation number 7 is running the plant. This is rare even in Germany. Sometimes I'm being asked, what is the reason for your success? Then I say, ladies and gentlemen, no dividends, no investors. Thank you very much.